Welcome to Pagan Perspective. I'm Tara, your Tuesday Subs-Week host, and this week's topic is on miracles. The question for this week is how we personally explain miracles. My personal beliefs on this topic are pretty straightforward. I don't believe in miracles. I believe everything that happens within the laws of nature, and the idea of something going against or happening outside of those laws doesn't really make sense to me. And as an atheist, I don't believe in divine intervention, so I know there are some different definitions of what a miracle is, but those are kind of the most common ones. I can't think of a single one that I would use except just as an expression, like, it's a miracle! I do believe that amazing and improbable things can happen, but I don't know if that would really be called a miracle in itself. I believe that every apparent miracle has a natural explanation, no matter how strange or improbable. The person who asked the question for this week specifically mentioned the liquefaction of the blood of San Januaries. And I know there's been some scientific investigation into whether the substance is actually blood. So far, though, the Catholic Church hasn't allowed anyone to actually open the container or sample the contents for testing. And that's totally fine with me. I don't judge them for that, really. But I do think that if we were allowed a full and thorough scientific investigation, we would be able to come up with some natural explanation for what's going on there. That's my personal belief. I'm not shaming anyone for believing differently. The person who asked the question for this week had their own potential explanation for what might be going on, suggesting that it might be the result of the energies collecting from the believers praying. This is an interesting explanation, and I can understand why it might make sense to some people. Personally, that explanation doesn't really work for me. I've been familiar with that idea of energy since the time I was little. I was kind of raised around some people who believed in that kind of thing. I've always really enjoyed talking to people who believe in that kind of thing because I find it really interesting, and I also understand where they're coming from, and I speak that language in a sense. And if you ever overheard me talking to these sorts of people, you would probably come to the conclusion that I believe the same thing that they do, which isn't entirely true. I personally use this concept of energy as a metaphor and as a way of expressing a certain kind of experience. I think we share a common experience because I think I experience a lot of the same things they do when they talk about sensing energies and things like that. And we share a common language and way of talking about those experiences. I think the only difference is that we believe differently as far as how and why those experiences are actually happening and what's actually going on. But the point is, while I do actually work with and use this idea of energy, I don't believe in it in a literal sense that would make it a plausible explanation for apparent miracles. I do know that a lot of pagans who do believe literally in this idea of energy consider it a natural thing and therefore wouldn't necessarily consider it a miracle. And that might be the way it is for the person who asked this question, which is my return question to you. Like, would you actually consider that a miracle if it's this energy that is produced by all of these people praying together like a spell? I know my opinions on this topic are fairly blunt and uninteresting, and I wanted so badly to have something interesting to say this week, so I'm sorry that this wasn't very interesting. I looked up things online, I asked all my Catholic friends, but really, I don't have anything interesting to say about this without going off topic. I did read some amusing psychoanalytic perspectives on the liquefaction of the blood, and reading that led me to reading this chapter on the anal erotic origins of the rosary, which was one of the most unintentionally hilarious things that I have read in a long time, so Thank you for that. It's amazing. Thank you for watching. I hope I didn't bore you to death, and I hope you have a lovely day. Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles.